James Franklin's kind of hinting at the idea that Penn State might be announcing a new deal for Franklin to stay with the Nittany Lions in the near future. If that happens, and that is a big if, nothing is ever finalized until we've got the press conference, and even then things could change very quickly. But if Franklin, who has been the centerpiece of our coaching carousel conversations since the coaching carousel started back in September, if Franklin is off the board, then maybe a few other coaches might also be off the board, and then someone will be left out. What do you think are like some of the ripple effects? Like, who are going to be the losers in terms of schools or winners in terms of coaches? Like, what are the dominoes if Franklin is not a piece that moves?
It all depends on, does Florida actually want James Franklin, or, do they want a Luke Fickell or a Mark Stoops? Recall Strickland's mentor is like Mitch Barnhart, the UK AD, right? So if Florida wants Mark Stoops, I feel like Barnhart's probably going to shoot him straight. Hey, this is a guy that I think actually can handle that big of a job. Or, hey, man, we love him here because he gives us something to celebrate in the basketball offseason. He consistently fills our stadium up because we're going to win 6, 7, 8 ball games. But I don't know, like, if he's got that mentality to handle a job that big. Whatever it is, I think Barnhart will probably shoot the guy straight, because if Florida wants him and Stoops wants a bigger job, he'll jump, right? And so it's good to have that good intel. What if they want Napier? I don't know that Franklin staying bust up that many plans, because they're not having
USC.
I don't know.
Are we sure those offers are still there for Franklin? I mean, his stock has absolutely plummeted. And I do think we live in this crazy, irrational, short-sighted world of college football craziness, that I wouldn't be surprised if USC, who might have loved James Franklin, like, this is our guy, might have said, oof, 3 losses in a row. That lost to Illinois. Let's start looking somewhere else. I think that's a very real possibility, that maybe he was the target. Now he's not.
Ooh,
but he's
still going to get paid anyway.
4 and 8.
Absolutely he is.
Yeah.
4 and 5 are the key numbers I want to throw at you. Number 4 rated recruiting class for 2023, still pretty early there. Number 5 rated recruiting class this year right now. That's the huge difference between him and Dan Mullen and those guys. I think James Franklin can still coach. They've had some tough situations there. They're not a better program than Michigan, but he's had them as a better program than Michigan for most of his tenure. And he had to come off that, pretty crazy, all the Paterno or Sandusky stuff. They're not a better program than Ohio State. Ohio State is absolutely cooking and clicking during his tenure there. So he has not had the benefit of like Ohio State screwing around like the one year when they had Fickell, and he's been fairly competitive with Ohio State. They're the 3rd best team in that division. Under James Franklin, they've often been better. Or rather, they're the 3rd best program in that division, right? Under James, they've been better than that, usually. And the guy can still recruit his butt off. I think he's proven that he can hire coordinators even when his guys get hired away, which is something that I think is undervalued in the coaching search, right? Like, Billy Napier might go to Florida and kill it. He's got the recruiting game plan from Saban, although like half the SEC runs that thing now. But has he had to replace coordinators? What does his coaching tree look like? What if things don't go well with a guy, or what if things go too well and a coordinator gets hired away pretty early? What does his network of guys look like to get in there? There are uncertainties with some of these candidates that we don't talk about a whole lot. I think the ability to run a program, the ability to produce pretty consistent results. He hasn't gotten to the mountaintop because he really hasn't gotten quarterback right. Sean Clifford, or the guy who's back up on, I think, the Ravens now, has been the best quarterback he's had there.
McSorley?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're a fairly good outfit still, and they get dinged because they're not Ohio State.
Do you guys feel, if you would ask me last year, Mario Cristobal is leaving Oregon or considering leaving Oregon, I would have said, no way. Getting beat like that to Utah, does that impact you? For me, I was looking at it from a standpoint of Mario's looking around thinking, man, I thought we were a little bit closer than this. Florida's open now. Like, I wonder if Mario would be more willing to listen after missing out of the playoffs again, seeing how hard it is perception-wise. His conference is struggling. I don't know. That was one kind of takeaway. I was listening to your guys' post-show reaction, the reaction show on Saturday night. And I was thinking about because that was ugly. Like, that was a bad loss. And if you look like, oh man, and I know he's recruiting great, he does it, But I was wondering if, and I'd be curious to know what you guys think, do you think because of a loss and just the way the season is kind of unfolded, would that, if you were Mario, or if you were like, would that make you more open-minded to, oh, okay, this may be really hard. I might have all the resources in the world, but man, I can get a lot more talent if I'm in a place like Florida or Miami?
I think indirectly, yes, but only because of the timing. I think if he had a team that was competing for a national championship, it's much easier for you to be staying laser focused on what is exactly ahead of you. And while they still are in the mix for the Pac-12 championship, which they can clinch with the win over Oregon State, I think the fact that they're not playing in the college football playoff allows for some conversations. I think Pete Thamel wrote about this, and I didn't get a chance to peruse the whole thing, but he just mentioned that timing is important. A coach like Matt Campbell, who's not going to be in the Big 12 championship game, now all of a sudden becomes available very quickly. It's, coach like Mario Cristobal, not in the college football playoff, now all of a sudden might be more willing to make a move in a way that aligns with the timetable of a school. Like, what do you as an athletic director want for the timing of introducing your hire? Are you willing to wait until January? And I think that's a case-by-case basis. So for me, I don't know about Cristobal and how he emotionally feels about it, but logistically, it feels like the odds of him moving have increased after the loss.
So the word, like in the industry, was that Auburn wanted Mario last year, right? And maybe Mario didn't want to go run that same Saban recruiting playbook against Alabama, against A&M in the same division, and that better openings could be coming, or openings with like less competition. We just talked about how James Franklin has not had it on easy button mode there at Penn State and has had to work pretty hard to get those results. Mario works really, really hard, but he has absolutely had the Pac-12 on easy mode during his time there. USC has been crap the entire time he's been there because they made an incompetent hire in Lynn Swann as an AD, right? I mean, like they seriously did that. Chris Peterson retired in Mario's first year or second year?
Second. I think Mario had already been there before Jimmy, because Jimmy Lake only did 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's right.
One of them was COVID shortened.
So, he had to face Chris Peterson in the North for 2 years, and then Peterson retired, and they went ahead and hired Jimmy Lake, and that was, pretty terrible. UCLA has not really been a threat. Utah's been good, but he's had the Pac-12 on easy button mode. And if USC nails the hire, he will no longer be able to recruit California the way he does, because USC, with that name, I know Oregon has the Nike money, USC will again have right of first refusal on a lot more kids in California than Duck fans are going to like. Is Florida the right job for him? I don't know. Like, honestly, this surprises me, but like people I talk to really do think Mario has a special affinity for the Miami job, like above and beyond what I think is reasonable. Like, and granted, I went to Florida State, but like maybe Miami really is going to have all that money from UHealth, and have an unlimited budget like their former players proposed. Danny, I don't know if you caught that or not.
I saw it. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, the unlimited budget is pretty solid. If you can get it, obviously. My wife kind of spends for Christmas like I run that in my house. I think part of the other discussion on Mario is going to be, do they think that they actually have a quarterback who's a year or two away? If yes, I think it makes it more likely you stay. If you think you whiffed on quarterback, peace.